Amazing songs, huh? It touches the heart of our Savior and touches our hearts at the same time. You know, we come to a place like this and we see the creation, and it makes me think about God, the Creator. And in the Bible, when you study the Bible, and I know Billy is a student of the Bible for sure, there's 4 gardens mentioned in the Bible. There's the Garden of Eden. That's where relationship with God started. God created man in his image, and he created a male and female. But the man he created out of the dirt, and he formed man out of the dust of the earth, and he breathed into him. I often tell people, you know, for us guys, we're just a bunch of dirt clods, all pulled together. And then he created woman out of man. And he took the woman from man's side, from her rib. And within that, she wasn't taken from his foot so that man could walk over, wasn't taken from the head so that she could lord over him, but from the side to be a helpmate. That was God's design. So in that garden, he gave Adam and Eve the opportunity to be able to live together and have dominion over the earth. Until we know what happened, sin came in. Then God set forth his plan of redemption to be able to redeem man, so he sent his son Jesus into this world to be in the garden. Fast forward to another garden, the Garden of Gethsemane. It's a hillside on the Mount of Olives, and it was there that Jesus would pray to his Father and say, if there's any other way that this cup would pass from me, let it be so. Nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. In that Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus sweat, and the blood came from his forehead, hit the ground. It was a man of sorrows, knowing that he would take the penalty for our sin, take the full wrath of his Father upon us. He knew that he would have to die. Jesus is acquainted with our sorrows. His best friend Lazarus died. He brought him back to life. And all of that came together in the Garden of Gethsemane. Well, we know the account. Jesus carried the cross to Calvary, died on that cross, and was buried in a third garden. The third garden was owned by a man named Joseph of Arimathea. Jesus was placed in this garden tomb. An amazing tomb. I've seen it. It has a 2,000-gallon cistern in this garden area. It's an amazing place. But that tomb was not Jesus' permanent home. He just borrowed it because he only needed it for 3 days. It'd go back to the owner. And he rose again. Those are 3 gardens. I told you there were 4. Let me share with you the 4th one. Revelation chapter 21. It says, Then I saw a new heaven and new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth passed away. And there is no longer any sea. And I saw a holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, made ready as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is among men, and he will dwell among them. They will be his people, and God himself will be among them. He will wipe away every tear from their eye. There will no longer be any death, no longer any mourning or crying. The first things have passed away. And he who sits on the throne, behold, I am making note, all things new. Write these things, says the one that is faithful and true. Chapter 22. Then he showed me a river of water of life, crystal clear as crystal, coming out of the throne of God and the Lamb. And in the midst of the streets on either side of the river was a tree of life bearing 12 kinds of fruit, yielding its fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. There will no longer be any curse, and the throne of God and the Lamb will be in it, and his bondservants will serve him. They will see his face, and his name will be on their forehead. There'll no longer be any night. They'll have no need of a lamp, because the light of the sun and the Lord will illuminate them. They will reign forever and ever. These words are faithful and true. The fourth garden, the final garden. That's the garden in heaven. You know, it's interesting that there were two trees in the first Garden of Eden. Knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life. Adam and Eve ate from the knowledge of tree of good and evil, and sin, tree of life, was transplanted into the final garden. That is the garden that we will celebrate. That is what Joan gets to see. Healing. No longer pain, no longer sorrow, no longer suffering. When we come to this grave, we mourn and we're sorrowful because she's not here. But we shouldn't mourn and have sorrow as those who have no hope, because our hope is in Jesus. And I know, in speaking on behalf of Billy and Joan, it is their desire that you have that same hope, that you have that guarantee of life, and to know that you'll be able to see her again. I want to share with you one last song, and then it'll be your opportunity to share and be able to share some memories.